So at E3, Sony announced that the PlayStation VR will launch on October 13th. Of course, we already knew the price, and now we have a more idea of what the launch games will be. Yeah, we saw the new Star Wars game, we saw a Batman game that is supposed to launch as well alongside the system. But here to talk with me about the PlayStation VR launch lineup is Tech Sharps from T5R. Hey man.
Hi, what's up, man? E3 was pretty rocking.
Yeah. We made a video about that on your channel, so you can check that out. I put a link down in the description below, but we're now here to talk about PlayStation VR, the Sony VR headset that will launch in October with a lot of games. They have like 50 games before the end of the year, so that's pretty significant. But is that enough? Is that or is the content that they offer, is that quality enough? I already played a Riggs, I played Until Dawn, I played some VR World stuff, I played the Batman VR game on PlayStation VR, so I have had some experience, but yeah, it's all like mini games. It's not like the big AAA games yet. And that's obviously really hard for a publisher to say, okay, our new big franchise will be exclusively to a platform that did not really, it's not in a lot of hands. It has not proven itself. So that's why we see a lot of tech demos right now. Maybe developers don't really know how they can work with this VR technology yet, and they're now just dipping their toes in that. I think that's the case with the Batman VR game, for example. If you don't know it, they announced that during E3, Batman Arkham VR, and it's like you being Batman. It feels really cool, but it's a 1 hour experience, and it's not really a game. It's not you beating up bad guys, it's you being the detective. The first mission I played was really cool, where I really got to get all the equipment of a Batman game. Then a mirror came up and I could just wave to the mirror. You're playing this with PlayStation Move. It really felt great, but then after that I went to an alley and there was a dead guy and I had to scan him, and then I had to figure out how he was killed, and the gameplay was not that satisfying. I did not really know what to do. And at the end, it was not that entertaining. It was not like you doing combos with the Move controllers, really fighting. Maybe they will do that in other demos, or in other missions in the game, but not what I saw.
Yeah, the price points are interesting too. We were talking about this before, and the thing is, right now, if you look at the UK Amazon, you have like PlayStation VR World sitting at 30 British pounds. Not sure what that would sort of equate to what they would sell on Amazon US, because it's not on Amazon US. So these VR Worlds probably is, but the Until Dawn Rush of Blood, which is more of the third party-ish, or this different party developer behind Until Dawn, their sort of VR experience, that is even sitting at 15.99 British pounds. And that's not on Amazon US. I know that for a fact. I know PlayStation VR Worlds probably is. But it's really interesting, the pricing, because you see Until Dawn Rush of Blood, you probably think that's probably like a really mini game of something that you just play over and over again just for the fun of it. But then you have VR Worlds, which is, from what I gather, is a bunch of random VR experience mini games.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's priced at a pretty high price. Like, that's probably gonna be about $40 US, because it looks like all the UK Amazon titles are priced $10 or 10 lower than what the US is. So if that's the case and it's 40 on Amazon US, and let me just actually check that out right now, that's really going to be interesting, because if these are priced way too high, then these types of experiences may sort of burn people in a sense. They may not really care that much the first couple times, but then after they buy another one, they might be, wow, I'm only getting like 2 hours of gameplay out of this, and I'm spending as much as I would to buy a game that's a normal experience, but way longer. Like, and that's the big issue I see with it. But I am really optimistic as far as what they did show, that they are taking it seriously, unlike what they did with the Move, for example, when they were originally discussing that back in the day at the PS3. So that's definitely good to see. As far as the pricing, what do you think about the pricing in that regard?
Well, I also have like Riggs here. So for people that don't know Riggs, it's like the game from the creators of Killzone Mercenary on Vita. It's Guerrilla Cambridge, so it's like their a smaller studio. Of course, Guerrilla, you know them from Killzone and Horizon right now. It's a sport title, a 3v3 multiplayer title, and that looked like the first real game to me. And if I look at the price here over on the PlayStation Store, it is around the $70 mark. So it's a full priced game. So I think that what is interesting is that they really do price the smaller experiences less, and I think that that's nice. Obviously we still have to see if Rigs is that big of a meaty content package, but if we see Until Dawn Rush of Blood for $20, I mean, I played one demo and they said there was more, but I was curious how much more, because it looked like I was fighting the end boss already. But anyway, it will be very hard to say right now if the prices are right, if we haven't played the full product yet. But if a Batman experience for 1 hour is around the $30, I think we can say that's pretty on the expensive side. But on the other hand, it's launch games. I mean, I can imagine that building a VR game, I mean, it has to run at a certain frame rate, 120 FPS minimum, so 60 FPS in every eye. Then for VR, that's like the way to go. So I can imagine that it's a little bit more expensive. You have to render everything around you as well, not just the things that you see in front of you. So I can see why it will be a little bit more expensive to make, but of course that doesn't really if the game is so short and you sell it for $30, it's still like, okay, that's weird. If I can buy a full priced game, for example, if I can buy an Horizon and a Rigs for the same price, but Rigs offers a lot of less content for the same price, it's still weird. But it's interesting that we all can already see the prices. But one thing I want to say as well about PlayStation VR, I mean, they're like communicating the $399 price point, but I already made a video about that as well. It is not $399. If you don't have the PlayStation camera, you still have to buy that. And from the looks of it, if you want to play most of the games, you will need the PlayStation Move controllers. Batman Arkham VR is PlayStation Move exclusive, so you have to have the two controllers. So the camera, the two controllers, and for example, Until Dawn Rush of Blood, I mean, Sony said you can play every game with the controller, like their more first party products, but it just doesn't work that well. For example, in Until Dawn you have like two guns in each or one gun in each hand, and you have to shoot pretty precise to hit a certain high score and to prevent you from dying. And if you have like a controller, that's not that precise, because you move with the sticks, you move where you like sort of aim, and then you have to move your controller in real time. So with the syntaxes a little bit, it just doesn't work that well. So if you really want that VR experience, I think you will have to pay like more than $500 to get that, and then you don't have a game yet. Then you have like that VR playroom stuff that you play for 1 hour, and then 1 hour is pretty much, I think, for that game. So it will be very expensive to buy the PlayStation VR at
the whole package.
On October 13th. And if it will be worth it, from what I see right now, I mean, I love the games I experienced on the platform right now, but if I have to pay for them, I think I will pass until the big games come.
And that's a very interesting point that you said, because you experienced some of these, and so you like the experience, but as far as the price goes, it's a bit too high, and that's why you're sort of like, I think I'll pass. And I'm looking at one of their competitors on the PC realm. Obviously, a lot of people who own a PS4 will probably more be inclined to buy, obviously, a PlayStation VR versus a gaming PC that can run VR and then the VR headset on top of that. But that doesn't discount the fact that there's three main head honchos on the PC: the Oculus, the Vive, and then also the OS VR, which is actually running at the same price, actually cheaper than the PlayStation VR, running at a higher fidelity. So looking at the Steam store under this VR, for example, I think that the developers that are working on Steam and pumping their games out have the right idea. The highest priced game out of 13 pages of results for VR is $39.99. $39.99. The rest of them are mostly floating on the $30 and lower range. Most of them actually are under $20, and that's really where I think that these short experience should aim at, until the player base is high enough to where a AAA game can come out that's going to shock everyone. Now, of course, there is one thing that I did want to mention, because we glossed over it because we were talking about most of these are experiences. There is one non-experience, an actual full game, Resident Evil, that will be supported by VR. And that's going to be very interesting to see how that game sort of goes forth with their current gameplay concept of a more sort of first person playable teaser style setup, like the Silent Hills demo, and sort of see how that's going to sort of play out with VR. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be fun. I played the demo. I enjoyed the demo. They said that everything that was in the demo is not really referring to the actual main game, but it gave the concepts that we are going to see. And so that is definitely going to be good for VR. And if I have a PSVR, I'll probably play it on that particular system, because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good experience. One thing that didn't happen though at E3, like I had a bold prediction for, is Uncharted VR. I was somewhat surprised about that, especially since they had so many games that they were announcing for VR. I'm like, okay, Uncharted's next. Uncharted something's next. Uncharted something's next, and no Uncharted shit. Yeah,
I think it can still happen, and that's interesting. I mean, we only see Until Dawn right now as a proven IP. I mean, it's still pretty new, but that's like the only proven IP from Sony that we see on the platform. Obviously, we also have Eve Valkyrie. But yeah, not a lot of console players will know Eve. So yeah, that's interesting to see a Sony platform launching, because they really think PlayStation VR is our new platform. We really treat it as a console launch without any big franchises on the platform. So yeah, that's interesting, and that also pretty concerns me. Why not do a Uncharted game on there, right? I mean, that's pretty weird, but we might see that later, and it's of course also a big announcement if they announce some awesome games later. And for Naughty Dog, it would also be interesting to dip their toes a little bit in the VR front. I think we've said like everything there is to it. To wrap it up a little bit, we think the launch lineup, the prices are, it's hard to say right now because we have not played the full experiences. But if a Batman game from that only is 1 hour will cost $30, I think it will be around that. I mean, it's also third party, so you might think that, of course, on the PlayStation Store it will be more expensive, because that's how it just goes. They have to pay Sony, they have to pay they have more things going on than just a Sony first party game. But yeah, it's hard to say. What we do know is that buying the PlayStation VR at launch at October 13th and to have a full experience will cost you a lot of money, and then you don't even have the games. So you really have to think about that. Any closing comments, Zach, before I wrap it up?
No, I think that it's a very interesting conversation to have as far as the price point goes, and I'm intrigued. You know, I want to try out the PlayStation VR, but there's just in the back of my mind, I'm like, should I just get the OS VR and just play on PC? Because I already know the prices, and I already sort of know what everyone's going to be doing with that. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough decision for me. I have a Gear VR. I've flirted a little bit with virtual reality, and I like the concept of it. It's just it needs to be done in a very polished form with a lot of reasons to actually adopt it. So
so right now I want to have the VR experience, but I don't really want the experience the games that are in VR right now.
Exactly.
So they have to turn that around. There has to be a game I want to experience that is also in VR, and not the other way around. Anyway, thanks a lot, Zach. We will have more videos discussing things, of course, on this channel. So thanks a lot. You can subscribe to stay up to date on that. And of course, check out Zach's channel, T5R, for some top 5 stuff. And also our big discussion about E3. You can watch it over there. So thanks a lot, Zach, again. And I'll speak to you guys next time.
Later.